There is a silver lining to what's happening, though, hopefully, and that's the fact that if, well, not if, when the currencies in the West and throughout the world collapse, we might see a period of less authoritarianism, but that might take a while. Saturday, August 10th, 2024, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. We're going to look at currency collapse today, or hyperinflation, and I've been warning about it for years. Ever since I started this channel in late 2015, I even have a hyperinflation playlist. And I've gotten many comments through the years. Nothing's happening. You're a fearmonger. I'm not trying to say I told you so or anything. And I'm not sure why. I've been perceptive to what's been happening in the world for the last 25 years or so, and how I worked out that we'd be in the situation that we're now. And it's getting really draconian as well, especially here in the UK. And I have to admit, we have to be careful with what we say now online. And what you write as well online, on comment sections or wherever, even if you're not in the UK, seeing that I'm in the UK, if you know what I mean. But fortunately and hopefully, you will have protected yourself, at least financially. I can't protect you politically, of course, but what I'm seeing is really accelerating, and usually that's how it happens. I think the situation boils over for decades, and all of a sudden it just explodes, and not many people can see it coming or see it right now. Actually, there's many that are still asleep who are watching the BBC, or they're watching CNN. They're watching Sky News. They're watching. They're watching the mainstream media. They're reading the Daily Mail. The same people who were very active in 2020 to 2022, if you know what I mean, scaring everyone. But let's get back to the topic of currency collapse. And I'm beginning to think we're going to have a crack-up boom or hyperinflation, rather than a deflationary collapse. Either one, though, I think in either instance, you'd still want to have physical gold and silver outside the system. And I think it's more important than ever, if you do have a lot of fiat currency savings, to get out of the system, to jump off the system. Not just because of what's happening financially and economically, but what's happening politically as well. Who knows how long you're going to be able to buy gold and silver? I don't know. And I'm not trying to scare people here. I'm just trying to be realistic. There are people in the past who have warned us about it, like Warren Buffett's father, Howard Buffett, how gold redeemable money equals human freedom. So if we don't have, we don't have gold redeemable money, and we haven't had for almost 100 years. So it's not surprising we're going through what we're going through. And we also have Alan Greenspan warning in his essay from the late 60s about gold and economic freedom, and how statists who are in charge now of our countries, they hate gold because it puts a straitjacket on them. They can't expend the welfare state. They can't expend the pharmaceutical state. They can't expend the warfare state, all their programs that shouldn't really be around. They can't expend the mass amount of people that come into your country. I don't even want to say the word, but and that's where we are. And there is a silver lining to what's happening, though. Hopefully, and that's the fact that if, well, not if, when the currencies in the West and throughout the world collapse, we might see a period of less authoritarianism, but that might take a while because I've been recommending a couple of books that I think are the most important books that I've recommended in the last 10 years, almost 10 years, about what I thought was going to happen in the West. And one of them is this, Fiat Money Inflation in France, how it came, what it brought, and how it ended. And this is about revolutionary France in the 1790s. And I've spoken about all the symptoms there. You have political instability, a revolution. And I'm not calling for a revolution here. I'm a person that believes in the golden rule. You treat people as you'd want them to treat you, no matter what their ethnicity, religion, or anything. So I like to make that clear. But yes, they had the same symptoms that we have now in the West. They were fighting loads of wars prior to the 1790s. You had the French and Indian Wars in North America. In 1720, you had the Mississippi Scheme that bankrupted the country. So France, the state, and the economy was in bad shape because they had huge amount of debts. The inequality was huge. And yes, it led to the government trying to, after the, in the revolutionary time, to try to kickstart the economy with paper money or fiat currency, with the assignats. That failed miserably. It was their experiment in QE. And notice, if you read this book, how after every issue of assignats, it was a bigger and bigger amount, because that's how it works. And the first issue was supposed to be the first and last as well, a little bit like RQE. And that's why I knew back in 08, 09, when they announced QE, that it wouldn't be the first and last one, and that the future QEs would be even bigger. But yeah, and socially, economically, everything was a mess, of course, in France. And then they got a strongman by the name of Napoleon Bonaparte, and that wasn't good either. So we might end up with some kind of strongman or strong woman. You could even call it, in the U.S., in Western Europe. Who knows? And I think we're fulfilling all the symptoms of what happened then. There was the Reign of Terror. People could be guillotined for not using the assignats, for using like gold and silver money. They could be, merchants and farmers could be arrested for what they called was price gouging, even though prices are going up, not because farmers or merchants were greedy, but because the currency was worthless. And I don't know if you heard the other day, Kamala Harris, the vice president who's running for president, said she's going to crack down on people who price gouge. And many people asked her, why haven't you done it? You've been vice president for almost 4 years. Why haven't you done it then? But you know, by now. Of course, that's not going to solve it. It's going after the consequence of the inflation that's been created by government. And the other book that I've recommended, and this, by the way, I'm going to put a free PDF in the description, and you can click on it. And I'll also put a link to the Mises Institute where you can buy one. This one here, this is about more recent history, even though it's just over 100 years ago. But it's When Money Dies by Adam Ferguson, in the Weimar Republic situation. And the same thing was happening. Germany had lost World War I. The political situation was in chaos. The Kaiser Wilhelm had abdicated, I think if I'm not mistaken, 1919, and had gone to the Netherlands in exile. They created the Weimar Republic. It was a very fragile republic. And they had the debt, of course, and they had all the soldiers coming back from the front from war, and they printed and printed and printed and printed. And eventually, by the summer of 1922, things started kicking off, and it happened very quickly, and the currency collapsed. But all the symptoms that we saw back in the 1790s were present also in during the Weimar Republic. That's social decay, moral decay, political mayhem, assassinations attempt. Sounds familiar. What else? Inflation prior to the hyperinflation. And hyperinflation is not like the continuation of inflation. Hyperinflation is completely different. Hyperinflation is like a psychological event where the public realize they can't trust the issuer of the currency anymore, and that they're not going to stop issuing it. And what happens is when they're paid with that currency, they want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. And that happens like overnight. And that's why I've been warning people to get some gold and silver to protect yourselves. If you haven't yet, of course, and you want to help the channel, check out my affiliates below here in the UK and in the US if you want to protect yourself financially. This is not advice. This is what I think would be a good thing. It's up to you to decide. So what's the other alternative? Well, the other alternative, of course, is that we do have a currency collapse. And why does a currency collapse in a hyperinflation? Well, because the demand for the currency collapses. When you're trying to get rid of it for anything that's stuck to the ground or has any value, that currency becomes worthless, and that's why they had to print so many. But the other side of the coin is a deflationary collapse, where the currency where the authorities, the central bank and the governments and treasuries, they allow the whole economy and the debt-based system to implode. And how do they do that? Well, they stop printing and they stop borrowing, and they allow. And if you do that in our current system that is so leveraged, all the values that we have there are all fake. And this is when you get like a haircut of over 90% in the stock market. In the bond market, you just get bankruptcies, and bondholders basically lose everything. Banks go under because they hold all these assets that collapse, that corporations and institutions have become bankrupt. So there is no money out there or currency out there. And it's just as bad as when you have hyperinflation, because yes, having currency or money is a good thing, and you can still use it, but no one has it. And why is that? Well, because all these values that we think are there, they come to the fore. It's like Warren Buffett says, when things implode and everything collapses, the tide goes out and you can see everyone is virtually naked. And I think if you have some gold and silver, you'll be able to survive that. And now, of course, there's a lot more than just having gold and silver in order to survive. And I'm not here really on this channel to talk about it. There's a lot of other channels about that, but there's spiritual things, there's prepping things, and that's up to you to look into, not me. I'm going to focus on the money here, the old specialization, and that's how I see it, unfortunately. And again, I'm going to get questions. When is this going to happen? Well, it could happen next week. It could happen in a month. But I don't think we have much longer left. Just look at the political, social, and economic situations in the US and the UK. And why do I use those two countries? Am I being arrogant? No, no, I'm not. It's because the UK is still an important country. It was the previous empire prior to the US, and they have a very close relationship. So the fact that those countries are in the condition that they're in right now, and a lot of you are aware of that, and unfortunately there are many out there who are completely unaware of what's going on. And why is that? Well, because they still believe in what the institutions like the mainstream media, the government, the banks, the economists tell them. And it's sad because they're going to get hurt. Hopefully, they'll be watching me. They will find my channel, and maybe I'll be able to help one or two people. That's what I'm trying to do here. And yes, so it is happening, guys, and whoever says nothing's happening is probably not following what's going on in the world. And the fact that the US and the UK are in such condition is a bad sign for everyone, I would say, because it means the end of the Pax Americana. And what's that? Well, it means the post-World War II, like stable, relatively peaceful era is over. And the prosperity is over as well. So there you go. I wish I had better news, but it doesn't mean to say that we should be scared. That's the other thing. They want you scared. They want you not to enjoy your life. Yeah, ignore all the negativity. And I know it's difficult, especially if you look at what's going on here in the UK. And it doesn't mean to say I don't care about what's going on. It just means that you need to look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, who's going to look after your family? Who's going to look after your close-knit community? Hopefully you have one. Nobody. So there you go. With that, I'm going to wish you all a very good weekend. Take care. Bye.